Hello everyone and welcome to this new Systeme IO tutorial where you will learn how you can limit access to a free course on Systeme for a specific time period. IO automatically. Indeed, on this Systeme IO, when you host your training, it is possible to automatically give access and remove access based on a client's payment. If their payment stops, if it is a subscription, or if there is a failure at the level of the payment, in that case, you automatically remove access. Now, what about a free course? Maybe you have a free course you want to offer as a lead magnet. I will show you how you can automatically remove access after a certain time. I will show you two options here. One will involve using an external tool like Zapier, for example, and a way you can set up directly from this Systeme IO system. If you do not yet have a Systeme IO account, consider clicking the link in the description to create your account. Free of charge and grow your business on the internet and earn your first euros this week. To succeed in this tutorial, what you need is a Systeme IO account. You can create one for free by clicking the link in the description. You will also need a training hosted on Systeme IO. You will need a tag, not mandatory, but it's always recommended to have a tag. And you will also need a funnel that will allow you to capture your contact's email address. And for this solution, you will also need a Zapier account or equivalent. Let's start without further delay with your sales funnel. It's simply the door entry of your contact into your ecosystem. I'm going to click on my funnel to select it. I've already chosen templates for the sake of this tutorial, and at the level of the capture page, once I have fully customized my capture page, that I've added a form to it, it's very important to be able to collect the contacts. In this case, directly here, I want to create an automation rule. Generally, by clicking on the button, I will add a rule, choose the trigger by clicking on the plus sign. Here, it is a registration on the page in question. We see that this is the lead magnet funnel and that the step is the capture page. It's simply this page here, which is our first page. In the actions here, if I just wanted to give access to the training, in that case, I would just need to, in the desired actions, register my contact for training. Now remember, registration is not a problem. Here, what we want is to automatically delete access to the training after a certain delay. In this case here, I will simply add a tag. I will choose the tag in question. Once I have selected it, I will click on Save. Remember, here, it's not Systeme IO. We are not necessarily going to use Systeme IO to give access to the training. Well, that to give access, it wouldn't be a problem to use Systeme IO here, but we will build our automation inside Zapier to keep everything in one single place to make it as organized as possible. Once I've created, as a result, my automation and my funnel is complete, I will simply go to Zapier. I will create a new Zap and assign several steps within this Zap. The first step here would simply be to say that when a new contact enters their email address into my funnel, I want to capture this contact. Then the next step is I want to give them access to a specific course hosted on Systeme.io. And this is where we can add the delay in question. And suppose I want to tell them, well, I want this course or this access to be removed after X time. We will add a delay feature within Zapier to then tell it, well, once this delay has passed, we will want to update and remove access to the training in question. If I complete the first step in Zapier, we will simply choose our account in the setup, Systeme.io. The trigger, that is to say the event start, will be a new opt-in, someone entering their email address in a sales funnel, and you will select your Systeme.io account. Next, in the configuration step, we will choose the specific funnel here. It is our funnel called lead magnet, and the funnel step is the first step, it's the capture page. Once that's done, I simply click on Continue below to be able to proceed and test the event. Here, Zapier will allow me to retrieve the information from the last person who entered the tunnel. It's myself for the test and I'll be able to click continue. Then the second step will simply be to retrieve this contact and assign them access to the training in question. So in Zapier, in the second step, we see here that the application, it's still Systeme.io. Here, the goal is to create or update a contact and give them access to a training course. Once that's done, I will go to configure. The value it asks me to choose is which training course do I wish use? Here, I have created a demo course for this example. I select it. The type of access, I want to give full access or I could give distilled access. That means access to several chapters, distilled over a week or over a longer period, more long. I will retrieve the email address, which is important because this will allow me to give access to the contact in question. And this email address, I will retrieve it thanks to the first step in Zapier of the opt-in. I click on the little plus, I will retrieve the email address here. I could, if I wish, retrieve the different contacts, but for the example, it's not necessary. The most important thing is to retrieve the email address. Once that's done, I will click on continue. Then Zapier suggests testing this automation. I will always click on test and move to the next step. It has retrieved the information and created the access to the email address in question. For the course in question, here I click on continue and move to the next step. Here, the advantage of Zapier is that I will be able to really customize this wait automation to remove access to the training free for the contact. Here, I could very well choose and tell it, well, I want to wait until another automation takes over and triggers. I want to wait for a very specific period. It's up to you to customize as you see fit. I'm going to select the delay for a very specific time. I will click on it and click on continue. Here, it will ask me to fill in the value of the delay in question. I can simply decide to make my contact wait for 30. And there, I could choose whether it's 30 minutes, 30 hours, 30 days, or 30 weeks. I will choose 30 days for the example. Once I have assigned my delay of 30 days, it means that the contact who enters this automation will gain access to the specified training and will remain here on hold for 30 days. Once it's done, I will click on continue. Zapier is now going to ask me to test the automation. I test the setup and it confirms that this app has been validated here. Then I click on continue to move on to the last step of the Zap in question. Here I could easily duplicate this step of the Zap to add an additional delay. I could decide to add a specific number of days or a number of weeks, a number of days. You can customize as you wish. For the last step here, we will always choose our Systeme account in the applications in question, and here it won't be about creating, but about revoking access to a training. I click here, I click on continue, I will retrieve the training in question. It's still our demo training and I will retrieve the email address of the contact in question. It's the one through which they entered into my form. Arrived here, I click on continue. I've retrieved the information in question and now I can finish by testing the Zap. Zapier confirms that all the steps have been validated here. We see on the small next on the left, since all the steps have been validated by Zapier, I can publish my Zap without any problem. Then the second possible solution would be to create these automations directly inside Systeme. Why? The goal is always to simplify your life as much as possible. And it's true that by simplifying here within the Yo system, anything is possible. What I will show you is always the same thing. We will click on automation rule. Remember, we created an automation rule with a trigger. When a contact enters their email address, fills out the form, and enters their email address in my form, they are assigned a lead magnet. Here, what I could do is directly in this automation, add an action and give them access to a training. Here, I click on it, I choose the training in question, I choose how I want to give access. Here, it will be full access and I click on save. Two possibilities when we get here, we will create what we call a workflow inside Systeme.io. I will open it in another tab to make it easier, and I will show you what it corresponds to. First, I will create my workflow. We will call it test just for the sake of this video. I click on save. My workflow has been created. Now if I click inside of the workflow, I will need a trigger. To choose my trigger, I simply click on it, and here I will choose my trigger. It's very simple. It could be either a tag in question or a form submission in a funnel. It's up to you to decide. Personally, I always prefer using tags. It's much easier because I can myself manually add the tag to a contact, and in that case, it will trigger the automation. I click on add tag, I will choose the relevant tag and click create to have my trigger. Once the trigger is created here, I will simply click on the little plus to start creating the first actions. A small detail, remember in the tunnel, I decided in the automation to give it access directly when it registers inside this tunnel. I could without any issue remove here, save, and decide to precisely give access to the training directly from the automation. Again, like Zapier, it would be much simpler to gather the actions in a single place for the future management of these automations. In this case, I will click on action here, I will click on choose action, and we will give access to the training from the automation instead of giving it from the registration to the tunnel. Here, I will select the training in question, click on it, choose the type of access I want to give, and click on create. This means that when someone fills out this form, they will automatically receive a tag. The tag is called lead magnet, and this tag will trigger the automation we have called test, and this automation will give my contact access to the training. It's only here that I will click on the little plus sign and decide to add a delay. I click on delay. Once here, I will be asked to choose the type of delay. We see that the limit here is that Systeme can only accept 30 days maximum. In this case, if I want, let's say 45 days, I will need to create a 30-day delay initially, create that one, and then add an additional 15-day delay. I will click here on 15 days, and set on, and I click on accept. We can see that now I have my delay of 45 days. Once this delay has passed, what we will simply ask Systeme by clicking again here on the plus and on the action is to say the 45 days have passed. Now, I wish to remove access to the training. I choose the specific training and click on create. Your automation is created. To recap here, when a contact enters their email address in my form, the trigger will fill out my capture page form, receive a tag, and this tag will trigger an automation that will grant access to a training, make them wait first 30 days, then 15 days, a total of 45 days, before removing their access to the training in question. Once your automation is complete and customized, especially very important, you see that here it is marked as paused. It is important to exit the automation. In the little menu on the right, just here, you will activate and confirm the activation of the automation. Now, your automation is active. This means that for every contact that enters, for every contact that receives the lead magnet tag, it will trigger this automation. A little additional feature, but I don't want to give you too much information here. If I reopen my automation, you remember that my trigger was the addition of the lead magnet tag. If I click on it, I might very well have decided not to add a tag, but rather to add a registration to a form. I select here register for the form. I simply choose my form, which is also called lead magnet. This can be confusing, and when they register on the capture page, in this case, it's only here. I could easily delete this automation rule because I won't need it anymore. I could delete it and decide to say when the contact registers on this capture page here, it will trigger the automation. In this case, we will add, here in the actions, add a tag and add the lead magnet tag to it. We will accept. We will automatically give them access to the training, have them wait for 45 days, and then remove access to the training. Thank you for watching this video until the end. If you enjoyed this tutorial, especially, don't hesitate to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you don't have a Systeme account yet, click on the link in the description to create your account freely and start your business online today. I'll see you next time for another tutorial.